안녕하세요. 토미입니다. Let's have fun learning Korean. Today's grammar is first, 미음, ing, ness. Second, 는데, to do, for doing. And third, 아오다가, to do, moving with something, and to do. If you learn today's grammar, you can say it like this. 저는 그림을 그리는데 재능이 있는 것 같아요. I seem to have a talent for drawing. Especially the third grammar is very similar to 는데, but which you learned in the beginner's class. This time, I will teach you an expression unique to the intermediate level, to do, for doing. In addition, since this is the 60th lesson, there will be a test that will include all the grammar from the 56th to 60th sessions. Please make sure that you have mastered the grammar. By taking a test, you can memorize expressions unique to the intermediate level. And let's pass topic to level 4 and become super intermediate masters. You guys can do it! 그럼 시작할게요. The first grammar is 미음, ing, ness. This expression is used to nominalize verbs and adjectives. The reason for nominalization is to make sentences more concise. You can also use it at the end of sentences to turn them into noun phrases. And you know what? There are so many words that apply this grammar. For example, 배우다 to learn can be 배움, learning. 걷다 to walk can be 걸음, a step. 다르다 to be different can be 다름, a difference. 오다 to freeze can be 얼음, an ice. 기쁘다 to rejoice can be 기쁨, joy. Like this, when you look at it this way, there are so many words that apply this grammar, right? And when you think of nominalization, you may have thought of 기. For example, you can say 말하기, speaking, 쓰기, writing, 듣기, listening, and 읽기, reading. And you will learn this grammar later on. And today, I will tell you the difference between 기 and 미음. When you use 기 to nominalize something, it implies the result has not yet been achieved or is not yet set in stone. On the other hand, 미음 is used when it is based on some facts or when the result has already been obtained. So if you say 6시에 공부하기, that is a future nuance that you plan to study at 6 o'clock. In contrast, if you say 6시에 공부함, it sounds like you have already studied and you are reporting the results. Did you understand the difference? To conjugate this grammar, you add 미음 to verbs and adjectives. For example, 가다 becomes 감, going. 먹다 becomes 먹음, eating. You add us음 to the past tense and add 임 to nouns. And let's look at some examples of what kind of nominalization is unfolding. 다음 주 수요일 전체 회의 있음. Full meeting scheduled for next week's Wednesday. You might find this kind of simple sentence on a bulletin board in Korea. Here, 있다 is to be. You add to the stem to make 있음, there is. It conveys the nuance that the meeting is fixed for next week. And it is already decided. Let's look at the next example. 그때 교실에 아무도 없었음을 제가 확인했습니다. At that time, I made sure no one was in the classroom. Here, 없었다 means was not. You add to make 없었음, there was not. Let's read another example. 나는 내가 본인임을 증명하기 위해 신분증을 보여주었다. I showed my ID to prove it was me. Here, 본인이다 means to be a person concerned. You want to change this into a noun. Thus, you add 미음 to the stem to make 본인임 being a person concerned. Quiz! Then let's deepen our understanding with some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 이것은 내 틀림없다. It's definitely mine. Number 1, 물건이매. Number 2, 물건이라매. The correct answer is number 1. 물건이다 means to be a thing. You add 미음 to the verb stem to make 물건임 being a thing. This is followed by the phrase 틀림없다. It is unmistakable. It must be. And 틀림 is also a nominalized word. It came from a word 틀리다, to be wrong. If you are aware of this grammar, there are many words that you already know. Number 2, 물건이라며 is the wrong spelling, so don't use it. Now, let's read it together. 이것은 내 물건임에 틀림없다. Please read the two nominalized words carefully. Let's look at the next quiz. 아침 일찍 일어나서 한국어, getting up early in the morning and studying Korean. Number 1, 공부함. Number 2, 공부했음. The correct answer is number 1. 공부하다 means to study. You add 미음 to the stem to make 공부함. If you select number 2, 공부했음, it becomes studied, which is the past tense. Since the text is written in the present tense, it is incorrect. Now, let's read it together. 아침 일찍 일어나서 한국어 공부함. Please read it as if you were writing on your calendar. The second grammar is 는데, to do for doing. Here, 는 is in the present tense of a noun modifier. Do you remember? This grammar is formed by adding 대, which means situation. Therefore, this 는데 is similar to the concept of following grammar. 는 상황, the situation in which. 는 경우, the case in which. 는 것, the thing that. And 는 일, the matter of. Teacher, then how is it different from 는데 but that we learned in the beginner's class? Excellent question! To make it a little easier to understand, I have put it in a table. First of all, the pronunciation of these is the same, so it is super confusing. But the two are distinguished by whether they are separated by space or not. This part is also so confusing. Sometimes I noticed that even native speakers often make mistakes. Anyway, going back to the topic, the beginner's 는데 but is written without a space, while the intermediate 는데 is written with a space. The beginner's 는데 but can be used for verbs and adjectives, but intermediate 는데 to do in case of doing is used only for verbs. The meaning of 는데 but in the beginner's level is used as a preface to contrast or compare two things. However, the intermediate 는데 to do is used to describe how a certain action looks like. So this intermediate 는데 is often followed by expressions like 걸리다, to take, 도움이 되다, 안 되다, to be helpful, to be not helpful, 좋다, 나쁘다, to be good, to be bad, 효과가 있다, 없다, to be effective, to be not effective, 편리하다, to be convenient. Did you understand the difference? The conjugation is that you add 는데 to a verb stem. For example, 가다 to go will be 가는데 to go. 먹다 to eat will be 먹는데 to eat. Now, let's look at examples. 그 책을 다 읽는데 3일밖에 걸리지 않았다. It only took me 3 days to read the entire book. Here, 읽다 is to read. You add 는데 to the verb stem to make 읽는데, to read. It explains the situation of 3일 걸리다. It takes 3 days for the action of 책을 다 읽다, to read an entire book. As you can see here, you use this grammar for the verb 읽다, to read. It is also compatible with the word 걸리다, to take. Do you get it? Let's also look at the following example sentence. 부산역에 가는 데에는 지하철이 가장 편리하대요. They say the subway is the most convenient way to get Busan station. Here, 가다 is to go. You add 는데 to the stem to make 가는데 to go. It explains the situation of 지하철이 가장 편리하다. Subway is the most convenient for the action of 거기 가다, to get there. Do you get it? Let's look at the following example sentence. 내가 학생 때는 공부하는데 시간을 많이 썼다. When I was a student, I spent a lot of time studying. Here, 공부하다 means to study. You add 는데 to the verb stem to make 공부하는데 studying. It explains the situation of 시간을 많이 쓰다, to spend a lot of time, for the action of 공부하다, to study. Crystal clear? Quiz! Then let's deepen our understanding with some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 사람을 있어서 마음가짐이 가장 중요하다. When it comes to helping others, the most important thing is mindset. Number 1, 덮는데. Number 2, 덮는데. The correct answer is number 1. Oh, such a confusing quiz. To explain, 덮다 means to help. You add 는데 to the stem to make 덮는데 when it comes to helping. Number 2, 덮는데 is written without a space, which means I help others, but thus it is incorrect. Now, let's read it together. 사람을 덮는 데 있어서 마음가짐이 가장 중요하다. It's a lovely sentence, so read it at least 3 times as if you were memorizing it. Now, let's look at the next quiz. 나는 내가 유학 내 필요한 서류를 다 챙겼다. I have all the necessary documents to go study abroad. Number 1, 간. Number 2, 가는. The correct answer is number 2. The expression to do is always in the present tense. Therefore, it is appropriate to use the present tense as in number 2, 가는, instead of the past tense as in number 1, 간. To explain the grammar, 유학 가다 means to go study abroad. You add 는데 to the verb stem to make 유학 가는데 to go study abroad. Now, let's read it together. 나는 내가 유학 가는데 필요한 서류를 다 챙겼다. Please read it at least 3 times. The last grammar is 아오다가, to do moving with something and to do. This is an expression used to describe 2 closely connected actions that occur in succession. This grammar especially fits well in the situation where you move something or someone and do the related action. There are already words that apply this grammar. For example, 태워다 주다, to give someone a ride, 데려다 주다, to take someone to place, 바래다 주다, to see someone off, 모셔다 드리다, the honorific form of to see someone off. You might have heard these words, haven't you? These words are made up of this grammar. To conjugate, first think of the yo form and then remove yo from it, goodbye, and connect 다가 to the form. I usually conjugate 가다 and 먹다 for examples, but since this grammar is appropriate for words that have the meaning of to hold something or to take someone to some place, thus, I prepared specific words. For example, your form of 가지다, to have, is 가져요. You remove 요 from it and add 다가 to make 가져다가, to have and then. In the same manner, your form of 얻다, to get, is 얻어요. You remove 요 from it and add 다가 to make 얻어다가, to get and then. Now, let's look at an example sentence. 내가 꽃을 사다가 연인에게 주었다. I bought flowers and gave them to my lover. Here, 사다 means to buy. The 요 form is 사요. You remove 요 from it, goodbye, and then add 다가 to the stem to make 사다가, buy, and the action of 꽃을 사다, to buy flowers, is followed by 연인에게 주다, to give to my lover. The grammar 다가 expresses the natural flow of the action. In addition, you are holding flowers in your hands, right? That's why this grammar, 사다가, is natural. Then let's look at the next example. 우리는 술을 데워다가 둘이서 나눠 마셨다. We heated up the liquor and shared it between us. This is a heartwarming example. I like it. 좋아, 좋아. Here, 태우다 means to heat up. The 요 form of 태우다 is 태워요. So you remove 요 to make 태워. You connect 다가 to it to make 태워다가 heat it up, and it expresses well how the action 술을 태우다 to heat up the liquor is followed naturally by 둘이서 나눠 마셨다. Shared it between us. Do you get it? In addition, you can imagine the speaker was holding the liquor. That's why you use 태워다가. Okay? Now, let's look at the next example. 나는 옆집에서 남는 사과를 얻어다가 잼을 만들었다. I got some leftover apples from a neighbor and made jam. Here, the 요 form of 얻다 to get is 얻어요. Right? You remove 여 from it, goodbye and add 다가 to make 얻어다가 to get and quiz. Then let's deepen our understanding with some quizzes. Which one is the correct answer? 내가 한국 요리를 유학생 친구한테 갖다 주었어요. I made Korean food and gave it to my international friend. Number 1, 만들어다가. Number 2, 지으다가. The correct answer is number 1. To explain the grammar, the 요 form of 만들다 to make is 만들어요. You remove 여 from it, goodbye and add 다가 to make 만들어다가 made and then. Number 2 is wrong because 요리를 짓다 is the wrong expression. The correct one would be 밥을 짓다 to cook rice. You use 짓다 for rice. Then let's read it together. 내가 한국 요리를 만들어다가 유학생 친구한테 갖다 주었어요. Please read it over and over again to make sure you remember it. Now, let's look at the next quiz. 밭에서 파를 된장찌개에 썰어 넣었다. I pulled green onions out from the field, chopped them and put them into 된장찌개. Number 1, 뽑아다가. Number 2, 뽑아다가. The correct answer is number 2. The 요 form of 뽑다 to pull out is 뽑아요. You remove 요 and add 다가 to make 뽑아다가. Number 1. 뽑아다가 is the wrong conjugation, so don't use it. Now, let's read it together. 밭에서 파를 뽑아다가 된장찌개에 썰어 넣었다. Please read it at least 3 times. Homework! Now it's time for homework. But before that, I will give you a wide saying which uses today's grammar. 내가 만약 나무를 베어 넘어뜨릴 시간으로 1시간이 주어진다면 나는 도끼를 가는데 45분을 쓰겠다. Abraham Lincoln. If I had 1 hour to cut down a tree, I will spend 45 minutes sharpening the axe. Abraham Lincoln. Wow, that's what Abraham Lincoln thinks. Very impressive. Did you find today's grammar, Nunde? I hope you did. So here's your homework for today. There are 2 homework assignments. First, compose 3 sentences using today's grammar. Firstly, let's use ing, ness. For example, 요즘은 일상이 행복함. Being happy with my daily life these days. You notice that this sentence is very concise, don't you? Secondly, let's use 는데 to do for doing. For example, 나는 일기를 쓰는데 시간이 많이 걸리는 편이다. I tend to take a lot of time to write my journal. Don't forget to put a space between 는 and 데 to do. Okay? Lastly, let's use 아오다가 to do, moving with something and to do. For example, 내가 너를 집까지 데려다 줄게. I'll take you home. This will be an expression often used in dramas, so please remember it. The second homework is to memorize new words. Please memorize the 40 words from number 2361 to number 2400 on page 30 of the intermediate vocabulary list. There is a vocabulary quiz of the 40 words on my website, so just feel free to try it. The link is in the description box! Since this is the 60th lesson, I also prepared a test that includes a lot of grammar from the 56th to 60th sessions. This test is designed to reinforce grammar and reading, so please give it a try. That's all. Thank you so much for your hard work today. I'm looking forward to meeting you all someday and talking a lot in Korean. 그럼 오늘도 행복 가득, 웃음 가득한 하루 되세요. 한국어 파이팅 파이팅 파이팅!